All right, here we are. We're talking about my favorite vehicle in the whole wide world. Sorry, tanks, helicopters. So we are here with the Soviet players. I got Andrew and Jim, and they're going to talk about their experience so far with helicopters in the game. How about you, Andrew?
Yeah, so we had a small sort of combined sort of session where we had 32 points worth of tanks and 2 Cobras and 2 Hinds. They're good. I can't hit a barn door with the Hinds at the moment, but the Cobras are better in a defensive mode with their sort of pop up and shoot and get back down into cover. It makes them a lot harder to hit. Certainly one thing not to do that my opponent did is try and do a Mexican standoff and come straight at the Hinds, because I get to throw a big load of dice at you, and I downed one and the other one ran away. So I was quite happy with that.
All right, so how about you?
It's been pretty much the same. What we've got is some of the rules seem to favor, I think, the Hind a little bit. In one particular instance, they don't really keep track of how many anti-tank missiles each helicopter carries, because that would just be too much paperwork and whatever. So the Cobra, that actually carries 8 missiles, has the same real firepower in guided ordnance that the Mi-24 Hind gunship has, which only carries 4. And the game usually lasts more than 4 turns, so the Hind starts launching magical missiles that it doesn't really have. So I was definitely a fan of that. As far as the big salvo weapons, we don't really have that much infantry on these tables for this particular weekend, so that hasn't really helped out very much. But the first trick you learn when you're playing the Hinds is to stay, and you're going after the Cobras, stay outside of that magical 8 inches. If you can stay out of 8 inches and engage them with your with your ordnance, they don't get that defensive fire with their chin-mounted chain gun, and that's definitely a dangerous weapon. You don't want to be anywhere near that.
So let me ask you both. Playing the Hinds, would it be low and slow and you can stay there in for the gunfight because they're a little more armored than the Cobras, or is it more maneuverable and then shoot?
They do have a slightly better save. So they are a little more reasonable as far as absorbing damage than the Cobras do. But they are helicopters. I mean, they call it a flying tank. It's not really a tank. But it is tough, and it can take a little bit of damage. Ground fire can be surprisingly damaging. Don't fly too close to a whole column of M1s and expect to completely get away with it. There are a lot of 50 cals. The chance of 150 cal damaging you on a Hind is not very good, but with enough 50 cals, throwing enough lead in the air, something's going in an engine intake sooner or later. So watch out for that.
Do you have any advice for the potential players out there?
I mean, for me, with the Hinds, the best thing is to try and outmaneuver the Cobras. Staying away from that 8 inches is vital. And if they do come towards you, then it's gravy, really, because you have so many dice to throw at them to take them out before they even come within shooting distance of you. So from that point of view, the Hind's really good defensively. And as James says, they are quite tough. I was very generous to my player because he'd lost all his helicopters. I sat my helicopters within shooting range of his 50 cals, and because I got a 4+ save, it was just they just kept saving all the time. So they do take quite a lot of damage before you take one down.
Okay, well, so there you go. We'll talk to the American players here in a minute. And I was reprimanded earlier, so I have to remind you that go and comment on the Beast of War site for your chance to win a 2-player starter set to include 2 books, and one of the American starter sets and one of the Soviet Union starter sets. So keep tuned, and we'll be back with another video shortly.